Welcome to Booked, the bookstore education podcast brought to you by the American Booksellers Association. This episode is part of our Indies Introduced series, where we spotlight debut authors handpicked by booksellers from around the country. In each episode, a bookseller from the Indies Introduced panel will interview the author of a debut title featured in our program.
Hi, I'm VaLinda Miller, owner of Turning Page Bookshop in South Carolina. I am the only Black-owned brick and mortar bookstore in the state of South Carolina for over 10 years. And I like to say, meeting you, Char, I don't think you understand the ramifications, the amazement, how overwhelming it is to finally have a book by a newspaper reporter. Now, let me tell people who you are, because you are a New York Times. You're a reporter. You're a New York Times. You reported for the NBC News, People Magazine. You have written on race and identity. You appeared in the New York Times, the New Republic, Oprah, of course. Vice Team, Vogue, and Buster. You have covered everything from COVID and news all the way up until now, but from Philadelphia, and you now live in Dallas, Fort Worth. I just don't think you understand. When I met you in Denver, I cried when I got back to the hotel room, because I said, there is a book. There's two books I know, but your book starts from the history and go all the way down. And I'm just so happy about that. So tell me, what inspired you to write it?
Well, first and foremost, I have to say that I'm so happy to be talking to you. I can just I have always been able to feel your passion for this topic, and I am so glad that I could feature Turning Page in the book, and I'm so happy I could be talking to you now. So what inspired me to write Black Owned? So I've told this story quite a bit, but it all started back in 2018 when I read an article in the Atlantic by Joshua Clark Davis. He wrote about how Black
Oh,
owned
yeah.
bookstores were targeted by the FBI in the 1960s. And I was just so intrigued and so fascinated. I found that I, I wanted to know more, like in terms of people's personal stories, right?
Yeah.
I wanted to know like what that FBI targeting looked and felt like for Black booksellers back then. And so I just started tracking down those booksellers and collecting their stories. And this book kind of grew from that.
Thank you so much. Now, we haven't had Black-owned bookstores for many, many years, and we're beginning to grow. And we have grown after the COVID. But how has Black bookstores contributed to the African American community and the civil rights movement? Especially when you talked about Mr. Ruggins, the very first thing about Mr. Ruggins. Oh, that man was amazing to survive all of that doing the civil rights and doing KKK.
Yeah. Yeah. So David Ruggles, he is the first known Black bookstore owner, and he ran his bookshop in Manhattan starting back in 1860. 34.
Yeah.
He was this monumental figure in the anti-slavery movement. He gave speeches and held rallies. He was part of a committee that helped to free 600 enslaved people, including Frederick Douglass. And so his bookstore was an extension of his work as an abolitionist, right? And
Mhm.
so I think that laid the perfect foundation and I kind of started a tradition of what Black-owned bookstores would be
Mhm.
for Black communities in the country, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so I think of Black-owned bookstores as kind of like these cultural staples,
Mhm.
like the Black
Mhm.
church
Yes. 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 Yes.
has been. And community has always been at the core
Yeah.
of what it means to be a Black bookstore, right? Like aside from just selling books, Black-owned bookstores have always been in service to their communities in terms of programs and different events to kind of bring co- their communities to together. And so there has always been this kind of holistic approach that Black booksellers have taken to in books.
And indeed. Well, you were on the panel in December with other Black-owned bookstores. So, and you guys talked about the major challenges that we're going to continue to face, especially with this new administration, and how they are going to overcome them. Can you bring back one or two of the suggestions you guys presented at that symposium you were with Baldwin,
Mm-hmm.
Source Books,
Source booksellers.
and
Yeah.
Solid State Books. You were all
Mm-hmm.
talking about, you know, what that administration has already started to try to destroy.
Mm-hmm.
What more can we do, and how we can overcome this? I call it the devil. Just the devil just can't wait to figure out what he's
Yeah.
going to do next. That's what it is.
Yeah. Well, people have me what is the Black bookstore's response to these attacks on DEI and on diverse books? And I would say that the question isn't what are Black bookstores' response to that. The Black bookstore is the response, right?
Oh yeah.
Yes, Black-owned bookstores, they they aren't really impacted by book bans because they've always sold radical
Hmm.
dissident books, right? So so I think that it is not a question of what should they be doing now in this climate, like the work that they are doing,
Hmm.
they're very existence pushes back on all of these um on all of these attacks we're seeing.
Yes. Yes. Do you have a memory or anecdote? What particularly moved you or surprised you while putting this book together?
So surprised me. I won't say that I was surprised by any one thing. I like kind of went into this project like knowing what the like major themes were, right? But I will say that like there are moments that I've like loved. I spoke with two couples in Kansas City, and they all ran a bookstore back in the late 60s, early
Wow.
70s. And so I sat with them
Mhm.
and I talked to them, and like of course we talked about the like
Mhm.
hardships they
Oh, yeah.
faced and all of that. One thing that they worked on a lot is like they ran a bookstore their with their
Mhm.
closest friends, and they called it some of the most fun, joyous, best times of their life, right? I just really, really loved to like share and like that like trip down like memory lane and to like share and like in that joy. They said like they just had so much joy and just took so
Yeah.
much pleasure in running a bookstore with their friends, right? And yeah, and I just loved that.
Good. Well, my last question is, what do you envision for the future of Black-owned bookstores? I personally think with what's going on in the administration, we're going to thrive because we don't have a choice. We don't have a
Right.
choice. I just keep thinking about the reason I got into a bookstore is because my grandmother, as well as a Congressman, John Lewis, they were not allowed in libraries. And we had to create our own Black libraries, and we've lost a lot of those. But what do you envision for the future of Black-owned bookstores?
Yes, I feel like there are so many Black booksellers who are just so passionate
Yeah.
about not just not just running a business, but they're passionate about the role of a Black bookstore, right? And so many of them have like embraced this idea of the Black bookstore and more, right? So like
Yeah.
now tons of uh Black owned bookshops, cafes and like have
Yes.
and um, and have like event spaces and so many and, and so
Mhm.
many other rings and programs that go beyond just selling books. And so I think that we will see more of that in innovation. And I think that will, yeah, like keep bookstores afloat and like and just kind of yeah, like and just kind of keep them relevant, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, indeed. Well, you've answered my questions, and I was lucky enough and very blessed to meet you in Denver with the other booksellers and read the book. And then when the book came out, I ordered so many copies. I told my friends, you have no choice but to buy this. It will
Thank you
save
so
your,
much.
and I tell them, it will save your life. So when we go to, what do you
That
mean?
is so
Because 10
kind of
years
you.
down the road, you won't know about that bookstore, that Black bookstore. They're trying to erase our history. This book is our history. This is our history. And so you have to buy the hardback, We don't want the Kindle. Buy the hardback because we want you to hold on to it for your kids, your friends. Buy them a copy. It's a part of history. It is really a part of our history, and we can't afford to lose it. I mean, I didn't know about Black-owned bookstores until Caribou in Maryland, but I was in college.
Mm-hmm.
So they sold other types of books and everything, but everybody has to have their niche, and our niche is now.
Yeah.
It's now. So I want to thank you. Thank you so very much. I still talk about your book. I carry it in my car. I got one at work because I, like to throw it in people's faces. Because, they tell people, oh, you can't run a bookstore because of Amazon. Well, I'm thinking you can run a bookstore because of Amazon. Because Amazon is not the be-all, that-all for bookstores. Yeah, they may be cheap, but if you don't buy it, what good is it going to do us?
Yeah.
So thank you. Thank you very much. But I do suggest that in a couple of years, you make a part 2 because of especially
Changes,
after this administration,
yeah.
what kind of effect it has had on Black-owned bookstores for the next 5 or 10 years. And I hope you do, since you're a great reporter.
Thank you.
I hope you do that for a book too, because it's history now. It literally is our history, and it's going to be out there for a long time. And thank you so much. Now you go ahead to your next interview because we want you to do a lot of interviews, a lot of signings.
Thank you for
yes
question and for to me today. Thank you.
Thank you for putting me in the book.
Of course.
Thank you for listening to Booked, the bookstore education podcast brought to you by the American Booksellers Association. Don't forget to subscribe to the show on your favorite podcast app. Additional educational resources can always be found on the ABA site at www.bookweb.org. Happy reading!